Hello, friends. We are live here on Thursday, August the 19th? Yeah, August the 19th. Thank goodness for the little calendar in the corner of my screen. We are here teaching a class on essential oils for preppers. Now, this has been a very popular topic. We taught this class earlier today. We had over 160 people at 1 o'clock. We're looking at 153 right now at 7:04 in the evening. We have some incredible resources for you and some great guest speakers. I'm Tina and this is Sherry, and we've been with Young Living for going on 9 years now. And we definitely save up and stock up, and we have things for our families that we need. And we're going to be hoping to instill a lot of that for you tonight. So I'm going to turn this over to our first speaker tonight, who is Amanda Friedel. Many of you know Amanda from Young Living. She's in all the groups. She is she knows so much about so many things. Amanda, where are you? We cannot wait to hear from you again. She cut her teeth on prepping. She sure did.
Is that what it says? I should open. Oh, funny. Okay, so hi, my name is Amanda Friedel. I'm from Iowa. Land of corn and blizzards. So I live with currently 8 children at home. Back when I started Young Living, I had 14 children at home and 2 in college. And so life at my house always encompasses being kind of prepared for the unusual, because let's just be honest, that children do that. In fact, we got to use some prep and tips this afternoon right at my own house with some children. Like, just get those oils out and use them, right? So I'm a big fan of practicing knowing how to use your oils all the time so that you can know how to use them in case of an emergency. I'm really just a big proponent of, we don't just teach for the future, the somewhat the what ifs, although we're going to talk about some of those tonight. We also, like, you have to practice and use them and know these things so you don't have to think in case of an emergency. All right, so I did cut my teeth on prepping. Early in my Young Living, I would do prepper vendor shows and teach classes on prepping. Because of the fact that I live in the middle of nowhere and I'm kind of emergency, I always have to have a backup plan for everything with that many kiddos. So I want to talk to you first about some advantages to using Young Living essential oils. So we might have some people tonight who are not yet in Young Living. And if you are, go ahead and comment in the chat box. If you're brand new, just say, I'm totally new. I want to talk to you, 1, about why we use essential oils in prepping, and 2, why it matters that it's Young Living. So first off, when you use an essential oil, they virtually, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second, have no expiration date. Like, essential oils found in tubes are still good. We have a couple of exceptions to that. Citrus oils, which are cold pressed and not distilled, tend to evaporate over time. So you may notice that. And also we have a couple of blends that are specific to Young Living that have a carrier oil in them. And so those can have issues also. But virtually almost all of them have no expiration date. Store them in a cool, dark place, pull them out when you need them. They're virtually lifelong. So whatever you're getting right now will be still amazing. I love that most of our oils you can grab for lots of different purposes. So an example of that is like lavender. Like, if I just said to you right now, what's one thing you've used lavender for in the last month? And everybody types one thing only, even though you maybe have used it for like 10 things in the chat box. Just one thing you've used just lavender for. And as you watch them, like, look at the crosses. Like, you're just going to carry lavender with you always, because you have all of these things you could use it for at any given time. So I love that they have different uses across the board. The next thing I love is that they're potent. So we can use them a little bit all the time. And then if we have bigger things, we're going to talk about like how to kind of ramp that up and use them for big emergencies also. But a little bit goes a long way. So when you store them, they last a really long time because you use a little bit. Safety, very safe with very few contraindications. Wow. It's getting a little bit later in the day there. I kind of stumbled over that one. So, and then ease of use. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to make it easier for you to use tonight as we kind of walk through this. So as I said, I've been teaching prepping classes for a really long time, and I might give some, oh, really good idea. What time is it? Can I have a nitro right now? Can anybody? All right, nitro for everybody. Oh, I'm always prepared because there's always a spare box right there. Okay, so up first, I just want to start with, you are wherever you are, and you're going to start choosing how you prepare based on what you're choosing to prepare for. So when I choose to prepare at first, I start thinking about, I need to have a good first aid kit at home for my family. I have lots of kiddos here, so I need to be able to do things like help them in an emergency. We are 15 minutes from a stabilizing hospital and about 40 minutes to a decent hospital. I actually am solo parenting right now because my husband's at a hospital with a kiddo. And so if you hear kids, that's because there's 8 of them here and it happens. But when I say that to you, sometimes I thought maybe we should go to the hospital for this. I will literally be putting in oil on a kiddo and start driving and get halfway to the stabilizing hospital and be like, oh, we didn't need to go for that after all, and been able to turn around and come back home. So that's actually literally part of my life. I prepare at home to make sure that my kiddo's here. I'm prepared and my kids know where to find oils for emergency type things, etc. I prepare. I have a kit that I take to my car. Well, first I have my purse. Oh, do you guys like that background? Because the light shines through it funny, so I made it virtual. So I have my bag that I take in my purse. I grab this bag everywhere I go. My kids know that if we're leaving the house, the oil bag and the wallet and the phone are the things that go, right? Also a backup battery, a Jackery for my phone. Maybe you can give a link to that. That's my must have. That's what goes with me. So what do you carry in your purse every single day? Well, I'm going to be honest, lately, it's been a lot. I did not use a Ziploc bag. Becky, I actually have 2 very specific oil bags. So this is from the collection that is for, help me, Bon Voyage, thank you. Okay, I also have one of Becky's bags. Becky, you can show them the bag I have in the comments. So what do I take? Almost all the time. And you guys tell me the list of what you carry every single day, because those are emergencies. So I carry things like heliochrysum. And we're gonna talk about that tonight. I carry thieves. I carry a thieves roller. I carry a thieves hand sanitizer because I'm always touching, I'm a mom and I have boys and I have to touch gross things. So that's one of the things I carry. I carry a thieves white spray everywhere I go. I've been carrying Boku emotion oils. I don't know about you guys. I've had kind of a rough year. Peace and Calming has been my best friend. And in fact, yesterday I was at Elise's house and she's like, I think you put on 15 drops while we were sitting here. And I'm like, yes, I have. So put in the chat box what you carry and where you go. I'm going to show you the next level for me. So we do leave our house. We soccer games, track meets, baseball field. And this is literally the bucket I use. All right, I'm going to take my pretty background off. Please don't comment on my office being messy because my husband's been gone. You wouldn't, right? Okay, so this is literally the tackle box I use. I got it for $1 at a garage sale because let's just be honest, you can never have too many tackle boxes. And this goes with us to ball games, places with bigger injuries, or it goes to my camper. All right, so I don't leave it in my camper. I keep it with the stuff that comes into my house from the camper because the heat can get kind of much out there. All right, so this is literally, this is funny. Look, Janelle says, I pulled it out when I met 8 years ago because I do. So this is the one I just went out today to the pile and this is what's in mine. Thieves, peppermint, lemon, you guys, frankincense. I frankincense everything. Oh yeah, M-Grain. I love that. Raven, Valor, Digize. Usually I have 2 Digizes, one with a roller, one without. I don't right now. Panaway. What's this one? Ravensara. Well, it was a good one at the time. Egyptian Gold, Peace and Calming. I have Thieves cough drops and a Thieves hand sanitizer. And I had in this box when I pulled it out, I have a pocket reference. Now this one is a 5th edition. I don't think it matters because when you're in an emergency, especially if you're the one in an emergency, somebody's going to need how to do what you think, right? So, and heliochrysum, and then also, I had an Ocotillo, it ran out. And so I kind of talked about, I always have an Ocotillo in my purse bag because sometimes I eat too many carbs and I feel a little bit dizzier. Does anybody else ever had that happen? And so I just do the Ocotillo. And so I have that literally in every container with me. But this is just the one from the camper from the field. And it probably needs to be checked again. I'm just gonna be honest with you because it's now the end of August. We've used it a lot this year. Like I said, I had to pull out the empty bottles. And so it just all fits in there. Look at this. Oh, and the other thing that was in this one is a baggie of Band-Aids. In my camper, I keep a first aid kit that I had bought at like Walmart on the bottom shelf, but there's never enough Band-Aids in it. So you need to look through those and get, yeah. So Pam says she's got the 140 hard travel case in her RV. And I love that. My husband carries the 40, I carry the purse bag. And then usually we just, sometimes we get there and we're like, we could put enough oils and supplements for a countertop in the camper. So those are some of the things like we do. All right. So you're maybe just starting getting prepared, maybe something a little bit more than what you were thinking, location wise. I want to throw it to you that you can also make pre-made kits. And I want to share with you a couple of screens. And this might be, I kind of always laugh because sometimes I'm like, we're not really preparing for the zombie apocalypse, but we are kind of preparing for no matter what, right? So I have a couple of kits that I made that I learned about through Young Living. And as I did that, I think we could create some more, just even in the chat box amongst ourselves. Don't you guys think so? Okay, I did it kind of wrong there. Hang on. So I'll just share this little bit real quick. This is kind of a trauma-y one. And these screenshots are for you guys, not to share on social media, okay? I'm sharing what I have in mine, and you can share what you might have in yours. I actually have both. I left him here from the afternoon class and I had children. Well, I store them in this kind of Tupperware. Oh, it's underneath the first aid kit. See, in this kind of Rubbermaid, and you can add stuff to this. So this is just what's in this one right now. So you just get some oils, some toddler diapers, some, hang on, this is the wrong one for that. This is this one with the diapers. Okay. And you just take the diapers. You want to use those for big wounds, okay? And remember me mentioning my kiddos and Band-Aids? Well, that's okay. But I've got some gauze pads. I've got a little first aid kit with tweezers. I've got all of the oily stuff listed there. I've got the rubber bands. I've got some scissors, some extra scissors. I've got, this is just a little tweezer trauma flashlight one for wounds. And then I have these oils in here. So I've got a tea tree, a helichrysum, a copaiba. Do you guys have that in everything? Oh my word. I also have in this one a Melrose. Why do I have Melrose and tea tree? I probably could just do one of these. So as you start to think about like what oils you want in them, vetiver, you can see there, maybe, oops, well, I'll stop sharing that. Because I hope you got good slides. Who wants another slide? Don't share these. Okay, so here's the other one. And I just keep these. You can put a rubber band around them. You can put them in the basement. You should check them to make sure your kids haven't taken all the Band-Aids out of one. Oops, those go in that one. Okay, so again, in this one, you can store some water with it in Ninja Red bottles. Does everybody else have like 24 spare Ninja Red bottles? I've got some, I have grapefruit. I'm throwing them now. It was a bad idea to have the Nitrotina. Bad idea. Orange. Okay, we've got some Thieves. I've got some Deep Relief. I've got some Purification. I have some Peace and Calming. I can't tell you enough. I think I have Peace and Calming everywhere. Take your old bottles and split one up if you need to, like you're going to take your car, you want a kit somewhere to take with you and then you need to leave some at home. Save your old bottles and split them up so that you have some everywhere, because you're going to need emotional oils everywhere you go, right? Anybody else think that that's true? All right, so this is just one more example. Empty capsules. I want to just share a second here after I stop sharing. You guys, I did not have enough empty capsules in some of these kits because we were camping. We were only gone for 3 days. We went to a lake half hour from here. We were super close to home. And I got a kink in my neck from sleeping on a bad pillow. And I woke up with a stinger. And I started taking some of my favorite oils in a capsule. Somebody can type that recipe over in the chat box. And I was doing 2 capsules every hour for the whole day that I was awake and right before I went to bed. And then the next day when I woke up, it was still kind of like, it wasn't as bad, and I could use some topical stuff. I put some CBD on there, and I put, so I went through in the first day, I went through 24 capsules in the first day. And the second day I did less, but I still probably went through 12 full capsules. And I want to tell you that if you don't take enough capsules with you for that, did you say why? Why? In that capsule, that's what I did, equal parts. And for that stinger, and I was so thankful that my husband had capsules, because all I had packed in our little kit was 10. So if I'd had only 10 capsules with me and my husband wasn't didn't have a backpack full, we would have had to abandon our camping trip early, because it just takes that many capsules. I thought, oh, 10. And I use those cute little bags I use for like Young Living things. And they look so cute in my little kit. And there was not enough. So I want you to know, probably consider whatever you have, that you have enough of it if you need it, if you really need it. Okay. Because I know that I speak for myself and my husband, and we have 8 children at home, but I don't just prepare for me. I prepare for other people sometimes too, right? So some of you maybe have grown kids or grandbabies or neighbors that you love, or people from your church. And sometimes people have needs and you need to be able to take stuff to them. My sister got sick last week. I said earlier, I hope she doesn't watch the replay. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell people, but I went and I did a door drop. And so if you've ever done a door drop, so, you know, when I get exposed to something, I love inner defense. I like to keep capsules in my glass bottles from Young Living that are empty, my supplement bottles. So I was taking inner defense capsules, which fortify your body for all things good in fighting. And I sometimes take like 1 a day or 2 a day if I've been exposed to something. But when I need to fight stronger, I do like 3 to 5 capsules a day. So I took an entire bottle to my sister, and I took an entire bottle of Super C's and some Super D's. Y'all know where I'm going with this, right? Like the whole list we could just give there over in the chat box of some of what I packed. And it made me start thinking, you guys, there are 10 of us in my house, but I don't just have my people at home. So if I needed what I took to my sister, who's single and didn't have any children at home, if I needed that amount for what I had here at home, think how many bottles I would need. You would need them repeatedly for 5 to 7 days, maybe 10 days, depending on how much you needed. You would need them at the highest of doses. So when I started to think about what do I need to have on hand, I think, how about for a weekend if there's like a blizzard, we get stuck at home? How about for 14 days if we get exposed to something and we can't leave? How about for a derecho, 50 bottles of inner defense? Last year, I just determined that I wanted a raindrop kit for every person in my family in case we needed it. It's back in stock today. I highly encourage you to go grab them. And I had them on my monthly order every month until they went out of stock. Just one. But I have too many people for that. So today I had to go buy another one because I was like, you need those sorts of things, whether you want, I have a kiddo. We were out on a boat and he had an allergic reaction, and I started using lavender, and the boat person was like, we can either drive 30 minutes out of the way and get on a helicopter and fly back to the land, or we can start driving back. I'll go faster. It shouldn't take us 2 hours. And I'd used an entire bottle of lavender on him by the time we got back to land, and his breathing was fine. I mean, we were watching it pretty closely. I'm a very cautious person. So breathing, eyes, drinking lots of water, flushing it out. But if I had to have that child, and let's just say we were out camping or out in the woods or doing something and he had that kind of reaction, I need a bottle of lavender. Well, how many bottles of lavender do you have on hand if you have a person like that with an emergency type situation? My goal is to have 21 bottles of lavender on hand for that child. I don't know what will ever be. I don't know how long it would ever take lavender to get there, how long lavender could go out of stock. But I want to tell you something and lavender thankfully doesn't. It won't go out of stock. It won't expire. Maybe he only uses 1 bottle a year until he's 30. I don't care. But that's my goal for him, is to have 21 bottles. I don't have the same goal for Digest. My goal for Digest is to have 12 bottles. That's my goal. So what is this 30 kit? Okay, so I want to talk to you about some collections, because I mentioned having 1 raindrop per person in my family. One of the reasons I love the collections is because you can get the collections at a better value than if you buy all of the oils in them separately. So there's the raindrop kit. There is the Select 30, which is like 30 basic oils. There's the Everyday Essentials, which is 10 oils that are fairly basic for life. I bought 2 of them on our Essential Rewards order a couple days ago, because I looked at the kit and I went, I think I need almost all of those. And I ordered 2 of them, $144. The beautiful thing about the collections is that not only are they on sale, but you can buy what you want to buy for your family and then turn around and use your points to get these collections at a great, great value. And so I got the Select 30 kit. I did not grab mine. Allie showed hers earlier. Mine's back there. Actually, you can actually see it. It's literally like right here on my shelf. So the Select 30 is 30 oils for $375. Somebody give me the price for. I don't know what the real price is. But the Select 30, you get all of those oils, and they're mostly, the value is almost all above the cost per oil if you divvied it out. There is a lemon and a citrus fresh and maybe an orange in there, but it's amazing. The Select 30 is 5 mils and they come with labels. And you can redeem your points for the Select 30 or the Premier Aroma Collection once per account. So you have to do those with leadership or Diamond Sport. You have to have somebody go through that process, because it requires an exemption to the amount of points you can use. But I want to encourage you to do that. Also, I want to encourage you to set your 401.75. So somebody divide 401.75 by 30, and that'll tell you the price per oil. And literally 27 of them, you can do each one once. 27 of the oils were worth more than the amount I thought. I was like, this is a really great value. It's amazing. All right. So the other thing I like to do is I like to stock my freebies. I take advantage of the freebies from Young Living so much, because things just in the past like year and a half, we've gotten 4 of the raindrop oils for free. We've gotten eucalyptus for free. We've gotten frankincense for free. Fennel, citronella. These are oils that we use all the time in our thing. This is what I do with them. I have this box I got, and I actually have one already in storage. I've got a box I got like this. See how it's kind of darker, but you can still kind of see in it. And I store this below. And what I've been working to do is every time I get an entire one of these filled up, like this is just all like amazing oils that help you feel like you're getting great breaths. Eucalyptus RC, eucalyptus blue, and globulus. How do you say that? Globulus, right? Globulus. Okay, so when I get one of these filled, I label it on the outside, and then it goes into my big storage box that's down below, because I don't count it into. Anybody else have a husband or a kiddo or even a good friend who comes and like checks your oils and like opens things? Okay, Lori, I can see your eyes. You don't have any of those. So I'm a big fan of out of sight, out of mind. And when I put these away and I know that they're going to last like forever, but they're not readily accessible to my family, they will also last forever. They won't if I leave them up here. So that's one thing I do. The last thing I wanted to talk about I think, yes. So the 4 open bottles of geranium is an issue. And I found 2 15 mil dream catchers in the same kiddo's bedroom. And I literally almost cried because I was like, Mama will take one of those back. Cause if you, they're a pretty beautiful one. So that's one reason that I kind of keep track of why, where the oils go. I want to throw out to you that I'm a big believer in having resources on hand. And I'm going to go ahead and go through just a few of them here for you guys tonight. I think, did I screw up my screen here? These are not the end all be all. And in fact, I know that Tina's going to show us some other prepping books as we go on, but I'm going to give you, after I go through some essential oil prepping books, I'm going to give you some other medical prepping books that I think might be kind of helpful to you. Share my slide. We're going to link these in the comments. So if you don't get a screenshot of them, it will be okay. I didn't make that screen as big. I apologize. All right. So I think having print books is just a must. You don't know if the internet will go down in a blizzard. You don't know if your phone will get on the app out of here at the cabin. You don't know any of those things, right? You don't know if you'll be able to find it on the internet, given the current thought process on, medical freedom type things, right? So the pocket reference, and I have a picture of the old pocket reference. And of course, you can use the new pocket reference is coming out also. We don't know yet, where that is, hopefully soon, right? We're gonna be able to show those. So we already dropped several of these books. Good. I'm glad you're reading books. All right. Next up is Surviving When Modern Medicine Fails. Honestly, this is one of my absolute favorite books for this purpose, but I want to be very specific to you. One, the first book, this is the second edition. You have to get the second edition. I'll write that in there, second edition, 2014 publishing date, because the first edition only has half the information. Okay, so half the information is good, the first edition, and you can find them really kind of cheap, which is nice, but the second edition has twice as much information. The third edition, the author, who's Dr. Scott Johnson, went to work for another place, and he took out all of the Young Living info and made it like, you can guess at some of the things, but why not go to the source, right? So I'm a big fan. Second edition, 2014. You can find them used. Yes, the second edition, it looks like this, and that's how you'll know you've got the right one. I'm a big fan of grabbing books used. I don't feel like, I love like Goodwills and all kinds of places. Tina, but even on Amazon, I mean, Tina's gonna show you some of the great ones she got. Okay, the medical preparedness book in the middle, and I don't know where mine is right now, but this book in the middle was a Young Living specific book, and the Amazon link that says Julie's book, that's the red book. And then unfortunately, in 2014, they said you can't say some of that stuff from Young Living, because I want you to know when I say to you today, this is what I'm using, this is why. It's for me and my family making an informed choice, not for like me telling you and your family what to do. And they felt like it crossed the line too much for somebody else telling you medical or legal advice. And so we avoid that. And so that Christopher Publications Essential Survival Guide, that link is a Young Living Not specific book, but it's way, way cheaper. So if you in your head can go, oh, respiratory, that probably means RC or Raven, and just use it and make those switches, then that Christopher Publications link is going to be a phenomenal value for you. There are still non-compliant books available. This one would be a very non-compliant book, and we're going to take questions after the recording. Okay, so why do I think you need books? I think one of the things we have to consider when we talk about who we're preparing for is our future goals as well. We're not just preparing for emergencies right now. Maybe your family, I just want you to think about, like, if you were in an emergency. We had a derecho come through this summer. We're from Iowa, so we say it kind of like that. We had a derecho come through this summer, and people in Iowa lost power for 8 weeks, 10 weeks. And it doesn't mean you don't have access to the doctors, but maybe you have things that you were counting on. I don't know if anybody's ever checked out the supply chains in America right now and what's happening to some of them. Maybe you have something you count on in your family and you want to be prepared if you can't get access to it. Maybe it's like a medication. Maybe you're concerned about, in my family, we have heart issues. I don't want to have heart issues, so I prepare now to support my body with good supplements like CardioGize and Omega Gize. And then I also have oils on hand that make my heart healthier, like Aroma Life. I rub it on my heart every day, things like that. So as I think about that, one thing you could look up in some of these resource books would be something like, heart health, and then how to, make it as strong and healthy as possible. So when I'm doing that right now, I'm also thinking of maybe it's blood sugars, maybe it's digestive issues, like maybe your entire family has digestive issues. And what if XYZ that you currently use isn't available and you're going to go through more Digize, and you're also going to want to have on hand probiotics and get your Life 9 and your Mighty Pro, whatever you're going to do, start thinking about long-term having that health goal met. Some of the people that we know around us do some sort of self-medicating. And I'm not going to be, if something happened and they weren't able to get out, like in the case of a blizzard, I have a kiddo who moved back home during COVID who smoked. And so for 5 days, he couldn't go get some cigarettes. You ever been around somebody who's not getting, I mean, we don't smoke in the house because y'all know where I'm coming from health wall, right? But if you have self-medicating or calming or anything you do, that boy went through a 5 ml bottle of Stress Away and a roller of Stress Away in 5 days. So start to think about what would you be using for people who are stressed and smoke or drink or do something else. Maybe it's just somebody who usually gets a 30-day dose of something and they can't get something because of a reason, a break in the supply chain. What would you want to have on hand to help that person through that process? And so I just want to throw out a couple more books that are a little bit more medical. I'll throw some links in the chat box below. The first one is When There Is No Doctor, and there's also When There Is No Dentist. These are books given frequently to missionaries to go out onto the field. So it's like, for the villager or the teacher or a health worker or even a midwife out in the field. And it talks about like, this one, the page I opened to is gangrene, but it is not oily at all, but it helps you. I'm like, oh, that was a bad page to open to. So this book also has a free PDF. I just want to encourage you. I would personally be rather holding a book in my hand than and have it just in case. There's tons of prepper books. Somebody even already put something like To Be Your Own Doctor, survival type medicine books you can get, but have some printed materials on hand so that you are ready for that kind of emergency. I just want to throw that out to you. Yeah, it would be cheaper to buy the book. I think it was like $29 and it's like hundreds of pages. So it would be kind of pricey, but maybe some people want to PDF it on a Kindle. I don't know. All right. Tina, thank you. I'm going to pass over to Miss Lori, who has been in the Mom of Many, in the trenches with me out in the country, treating all the things. And you guys, I'm going to pass this torch over. Lori, all you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. And I took another page of notes from Amanda. Thank you very much. When she talks, I listen. So yes, I'm out here with 6 children in the middle of nowhere, and the nearest hospital I think is probably 45 minutes to an hour away. And I'm not saying that we're against going to the hospital. I'm saying that sometimes you can't get there as fast as you want to get there. And if it were right next door, it might be another story. But what I want to tell you is that everybody has that line. Everybody has that, I'm comfortable with this. I have dealt with this. I understand what this is. And that one is beyond the pale. And you get to make that decision about where that line is. And I will tell you that the time to learn to use a gun is not when you're in the middle of a gunfight. And the time to learn to fix your roof is not when it's in the middle of a storm. And so what Amanda was saying about getting comfortable using things is so important. The other thing I wanted to amen a little bit is the use of the emotional oils, because when when tragedy or difficult times or storms or whatever strike our lives, it would be amazing if we could immediately in our hearts and in our minds put everything that happened on the side of faith. But too often what happens is we put it on the side of fear, right? And what happens when you're on the side of fear is that you can't think. Every thinking process that you have completely shuts down and you don't even know what to do. And that's why written materials are helpful. And that's why muscle memory is helpful. That's why people stand there in the middle of an accident and just start laughing, because it's a physiological response. They don't know what to do. I mean, it'd be great if when this tornado comes, and it's taking your barn out, you're going, wow, isn't this going to be a great story one day? It would be great. But that's not always how it hits us. So those emotional oils are really, really key to keep you thinking. All right. I heard Amanda's list of things that she always has in her kit, and I'm amening all of those. I wanted to mention a couple. The helichrysum, definitely bottles and bottles of that is what I would have, is what I do have. I probably have 5 open bottles because I didn't do that tip where I put the unopened bottles away. And so my kids just grab a new one, but they're in that all the time. And can I just give you a picture of this? So 6 children out on a farm and they're all boys. So somebody is always climbing something too high that they shouldn't climb, or climbing on top of a roof that they shouldn't do, or stepping on a rake and putting it right through their foot, which actually happened, or getting bitten by things that don't exist other places. And so we've dealt with some pretty big stuff. And helichrysum is something that we always have on hand. Ledum is something that I want you to always have on hand. The Bible oils are key for us. If they are good enough for the scriptures, they are good enough for me, and they're very, very powerful. Raindrop, like Amanda said, respiratory oils. Wintergreen is really important, and I'm not going to tell you what all of these things do. A lot of you may know what they do. I want you to research, if you haven't yet, in some of these books what they do. But when you're digging into some of these books, you're going to find some of those oils that we've talked about. All right. And lozenges, thieves lozenges are the bomb. So here are some non-oily things that I wanted to talk about that we have always on hand. The brown recluse first aid kit, because brown recluse bites are not to be fooled around with. And even modern medicine doesn't have anything good for brown recluse bites. They start carving on your skin. They like try to carve it out because they don't have anything. And we have had more than one occasion to use this stuff. And we also used every natural means that we had at our disposal, but this is what we put on it. And I can personally speak to the efficacy of that. One time my son got a bite right here, and there was a great big line running all the way up his arm by the time he showed it to me, which was awesome. All right. Boron, you will find a lot of things when you start reading these books that boron is used for. Vinegar, baking soda is important. Diatomaceous earth is important. And bentonite clay are really, really good to have. And then probably because I have boys, I don't know, but I have gotten myself sutures. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to the hospital. I'm saying if it's gaping, why wait to close that sucker up or to stop it from bleeding until I got to the hospital? So you can get these on Amazon, and they're like zip ties. We put one on either side of the cut, and you zip them together. I also have the super glue, which is especially helpful for when they whack each other on the head with a pole or a rake or something. Not that my kids ever would do that, but those help us until we can get someplace where we can get medical care. So that's all I've got, and I just encourage you to do it now, because you want to dig your well before you're thirsty.
Oh, that's such a good quote. Dig your well before you're thirsty. Thank you so much, Lori. Thank you, Amanda. These tips are just invaluable. So I'm going to kind of wrap up some things and just kind of tie it up on all in a bow, right? And then unmute, and then we'll have, turn off our recording, and then we'll have a chit chat off of recording with some Q&A. So if you've got some questions, you might want to be getting ready to either type it out in the chat or find where you can raise your hand. So I love all of what these ladies have shared. If you were just dropping in late, you might not have gotten this link. This Google Drive here is a couple of pages long, but it is taken from a meeting that I went to a couple of months ago, and it's called Always Be Prepared. And this, I love this philosophy. Being able to serve others best requires that you are part of the solution rather than the problem. We should always be prepared for local, regional, and national disasters. Disasters can create power outages, food shortages, disruptions of water and gas, travel restrictions, and limited security. That's like what we've been seeing on the news lately, right? So that there's a whole list of things to consider. And what I would recommend is that you definitely take, into consideration all of the people that you would be serving, not just in your home, but your immediate like neighbors. And like Amanda was talking about her little sister. I know I've got 2 daughters, and they are of age to be having their monthly cycles. So we are kind of particular about what supplies we use. We don't want to just run and get whatever's left on the shelf. And so we would stock up on organic products to have on hand for them. If you have a baby, then you need to have the diapers in different sizes because you don't know when this might end, So if you're stranded for any length of time, make sure your diapers are going to, be able to grow with your child. Formula, all kinds of things that babies need that you don't really think about. Baby food, mason jars. I know Lori talked about those earlier today. Mason jars are awesome, and you can get those at like garage sales and stuff and really stock up on them because you can put a lot of different things in there. I know Lori mentioned bentonite clay. A lot of that kind of stuff is in that Google document. So feel free to access it, download it, print it. Print several copies and keep them different places. There are a lot of things that you might not have thought about. Earlier today, Allie Raskin was talking about those Mylar blankets, the little sheets that you can get. And I've got a link there on Amazon for that. And then there's also some equipment that you guys might not have thought about. Who here has a nebulizer? We talked about that last week. A nebulizer is amazing. I'm going to give you some equipment and some links for those. So not just a nebulizer, but, and you can put oils in a nebulizer, by the way. Great way to deliver extreme concentrations of oils into the lungs where you may need them. But you can also get a pulse oximeter.
Pulse oximeter.
Oximeter. That is the thing that goes on the finger that helps you to know what
Your heart rate
and your oxygen is. And yeah, I'm going to hand it back to Amanda in just a second. And then Allie found this really cool hydrogen bottle with an inhaler on it. So if you have somebody in your family or somebody close by that depends on oxygen tanks for just daily maintenance, you want to make sure that you might have an oxygen generator. Those you can get for like $300. And of course, a generator would be great for your home. Collapsible water containers, something you can fill up with water. Love using the Ningxia red bottles to store some water in. That is just awesome because who hates throwing those away? I know I do. So a diffuser in every room, a diffuser with every kit. There's diffusers out there that are actually battery operated. Those are all on those suggestions are all on that Google list as well. The key is to have a plan. And I'm going to open it back up to Amanda because she's got this plan that she does. You guys, I never even thought about having more than one thermometer, and it makes so much sense. I can never even find the thermometer that I have in my house. And then I don't know about you, but I don't always run I'm kind of a subnormal temperature. So Amanda, come back and tell us about how you keep track of that with your family, because that's a huge tip for everyone.
Yeah, so back in 2020, I started making some significant plans because I feel like for all the things, like Lori said, you need to know what you're willing to handle at home and where you maybe need help. And I was doing some research and I realized that I have a second one, which is, and it came with this kind of, none of our devices take that kind of thing. So I made sure it had its own adapter. So I didn't have to go like running around yelling at a kid to take it off their earphones or whatever. And it connects to a cell phone. And I realized that at my house, sometimes I leave with my cell phone. So I also put the app on an iPad that's always at home. So I wanted to tell you that I personally decided at that time, like where I was comfortable for my personal health, treating something at home or going to the getting some extra help, right? And I did the same thing and I thought to myself, I don't know what our baselines are. So I got this little notebook and you can just actually see that it has a tab in it. There's a reason for that. And I decided that I would take one page for each member of my family at home and I could get their current, like their average temperature and their average pulse, their average heart rate, and their average oxygen level. Because when you are, I mentioned my sister was just sick. I knew where I would feel comfortable staying at home and doing something. But when you're sick and you're tired and you feel like maybe you can't breathe or you're not getting good oxygen or you're exhausted, you have to make that kind of decision. You don't have to make that decision when you're sick. You want to know what your plan is earlier. So I just want to encourage you to go ahead and get the equipment you need now. I actually overnighted my sister an oximeter because she didn't have one. That's when I decided to order a second one. Because what happens if this one breaks? Like, great. We break every single iPhone cord known to mankind. Why is this still upright? So, and then I am a big fan of having multiple thermometers. If you have a family like Lori and I do, where you have multiple kids, it's like a domino effect sometimes. Boom, 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 boom. Yes, you're going to be running around using those Steve's wipes right on your thing, but do you want to have to run from one kid's room to the master bedroom to get a thermometer to run back? Or do you want to just have like a little basket? You've already prepared for this and be able to just carry it in and park it next to the kiddo's bed and know that you have the everything you need in that room, everything you need in that bucket, so that you're not chasing it around. Now you could put a little apron on and have pockets and do all the things in that, or you can just, I have little Rubbermaid lids and I just fill the bucket with what I want for that kid's room and I take it from place and I park it there for the duration. So I just want to encourage you to know, to be equipped, to know where you want to be at right now, to work towards the best health that you can through our classes, so that when any kind of disaster comes or any kind of emergency comes, you have the ability to handle it emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and to be empowered to make the best decisions for you and your family. And I think that that's going to be a really important thing. Letting me share.
For sure. Isn't she full of so much knowledge? So I know she mentioned that I had some books, and I'm just going to kind of tell you, and she's going to get mad at me because this is kind of like her little secret, is scour the used bookstores in your area.
Don't live near me. Don't live near me.
She's afraid she's going to miss out on something. You're going to buy the book she had her eyes on. You have plenty, she does. In Birmingham, there's Second and Charles. And in other places, you have big box stores where you as a book owner can take your stuff that you no longer want. And believe me, people pass away and people, go in to clean out a home and realize that they don't need this stuff. And so they take them. You can get these books for a couple of bucks, sometimes 5 or 10. Sometimes they're more expensive, especially online. But I'll show you some of the things that I got that I'm pretty excited about having, just to have on hand, because you don't know that you can Google or DuckDuckGo a recipe or a plant identification, right? So always have a plant, especially an edible plant, wild crafting book for your geographical area. So you'll know what you can eat around your location. But this was kind of cool. Healing Fixers, Mixers, and Elixirs. You don't need to have the title. I mean, these are just some of my show and tells. God-given everyday remedies for everyday ailments. The Country Doctor Handbook. Anything like an Amish type country doctor thing, those are good. the doctor's book of home remedies for dogs and cats. You cannot forget your fur babies. And if you're like us, we have livestock as well. So make sure that you have preparations in place for them. Nigerian dwarf dairy goats is actually how we got involved with Young Living. We needed good, clean things to put in and on our goats to sustain healthy goats so that our raw milk didn't have any kind of synthetic medication excreted in it. And so it's important to a lot of people, including me. So just make sure as you're going through and preparing all these things for your home and your children and your neighbors, your parents, your grandchildren, but include your animals as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. This recording will be made available. And if there are any links that you've heard us talking about, look in the description of the recording for those links. And if you don't see it, then ask the person that shared the recording with you. And then that way you'll be able to get the information that you need. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stop that.
So I'm gonna say a word about
Wait, I hit the wrong button. Stop recording. I almost